Everyone has a story. Stories have power. They help us understand. Jessop's Journal is a collection of powerful, positive, and inspirational stories. It's time for Jessop's Journal.
Hi, I'm Doug Jessop. Welcome to this episode of Jessop's Journal, where we share powerful, positive, and inspirational stories and music. Now, you know I've got a bunch of hobbies that I get to incorporate in the show. So I am a gardener. Been doing that for a lot of years. I'm the TV garden guy, so we're going to do some fun there. I love to travel with my dear wife. Hi, Camille. So I am the TV travel man, so we're going to do some stuff there. But you know what I really love? I love to help people share their stories, even if they don't think they have one. One of my favorites was this woman, Dorothy Bale.
May 3rd, and it was 1924 when I was born. And when I was a senior in high school, World War II started.
Meet Dorothy Bale. Come to find out that Dorothy and I have something in common. We both like hats. She got her unique hat from Paul Brown, the CEO of Arby's, to celebrate a very special anniversary.
I have been here for 25 years. I have loved Arby's. They have been good to me. And I have met thousands of people.
At 95 years old, Dorothy just retired as the oldest Arby's employee in the entire country.
Welcome to Arby's.
Hi, Dorothy. I'd like to order a fish combo.
Okay, are you going to dine?
Yes.
And there you are.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Oh, you're welcome.
Earlier, I sat down with Dorothy at the Arby's, across the street from Olympus High School.
Would you like it small, medium, or large? I take about 200 orders during the week, and I'm only working 3 lunch hours.
That's like about 10,000 meals a year.
Oh my.
Why are you doing what you do?
Seeing all these wonderful people that come in to see me all the time.
What's Dorothy's advice for a long, happy life?
I just take one day at a time. I don't worry about what happened yesterday, and I'm not going to worry about what's going to happen tomorrow.
Live today.
Live today. I live one day at a time.
Here's a special treat for you. Dorothy Bale and I have kind of kept in touch over the years, and she recently invited me to her, get this, 99th birthday party. So we're going to check in with her later in the show. There's something to be said about small town USA. Recently, we visited Scandinavian Days in Ephraim, Utah. Hi, this is Doug Jessop broadcasting from Scandinavian Days in Ephraim, Utah with Matt Danielson. This guy has this group that makes all kinds of things out of metal. So tell me what company you're with and what you do.
So I'm a Wasatch Forge, and we're primarily a blacksmithing school.
Oh, really?
That's the niche that we've been able to fall into, and really, it's a very cathartic thing to be able to have a person who's able to make something that you've taught them a craft, and then they're able to take that piece and go give it away or sell it, and it's really rewarding to facilitate that craft for people.
So what's this gentleman doing here?
So I've got Brendan, one of my longest term employees, running the hand crank bellows. Pushes air in through the tube here, up underneath the fire into the coal. I've currently got about a 2.5 pound hammer that I'm working on for my junior smith program.
What kind of metals are you going to be forging here?
So right now it's actually a little chunk of a old antique piece of axle.
Oh, wow.
That we've pulled off and cut up. It's just about the right dimension to form into these hammers. But we do everything from mild steel, construction grade stuff, all the way up to really high-end super steels in some of our higher-end knives.
When you're at these shows, what's the question you get asked the most often?
What is your favorite thing to make?
And the answer is?
Blacksmiths. Literally.
Oh, okay. I got that. Okay, okay. I walked into that one. So what kind of things, you got things for sale as well here,
Yep,
but
absolutely.
What are the things that people are attracted to?
So everybody comes over and sees all the real swords that are made, that are historic weight, with some additional handcraft on the, we're blacksmiths as well as bladesmiths. So we've got the hand-forged pommel here, our hand-forged cross guards, and then of course all the blades are also hand-forged from just a regular bar of steel, not unlike that piece there.
So you're saying, okay, so people can come buy these.
People can come buy them, but more importantly, what we want to do is we want to teach you to make them.
Wow.
If you get to make your own heirloom sword for your wife or your groomsman or your pastor, it's kind of a unique thing to be able to be a part of.
With another entry in Jessop's Journeys, People, Places, and Things You Might Not Know About with Wasatch Forge, I'm Doug Jessop. One of my favorite inspirational quotes is from a woman by the name of Audrey Hepburn. She said, "To plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow." I learned my love of gardening from my grandfather, and now I'm passing that down on to my grandkids. It's time for TV Garden Guy. Hi, this is Doug Jessop, TV Garden Guy. I'm at Mill Creek Gardens where...
Every day's a great day, and look at all that's going on in this room.
Now,
This is our veggie store.
I love the veggie place. Now, what kind of things? You've got gazillions of tomatoes.
Lots of tomatoes, hot and sweet peppers. There's lots of pumpkins, melons, cucumbers, and lots of heirloom tomatoes. Doug, along with all this fun, we have a lot of trees and shrubs still coming in for fresh planting, and ground covers as well as perennials.
Now, I saw you have incredible, the zinnias. Was it profusion? Phenomenal.
That's the best bedding plant that there is, so come and check those out, as well as alyssum, lobelia, marigolds, petunias, dahlias. Oh my goodness.
Broadcasting from Mill Creek Gardens, 3500 South, 9th East, I'm Doug Jessop, where every day is a great day in Mill Creek Gardens. Ba-da-ba-bum. As a sidebar, you can watch TV Garden Guy every Thursday and Friday during Good Things Utah, Fresh Living, Studio 5, and The Place. With me today, Mark Mauzy. I understand that you have a degree in counseling.
So I wasn't planning on going to college. My father-in-law came over one day right after my wife and I were newly married. And to his credit, he was very gentle, very appropriate. He didn't want to overstep his bounds, but he said, "What are you doing with your life?" And we had a conversation about going to school. Now, I barely graduated high school. I have dyslexia. I was in special ed. I'm sure none of my teachers would have predicted that I would have gone on. And anyway, I could see the wisdom in what he suggested. And with that, my wife and I were prayerful, and we decided to embrace education. And I loved it. I learned how to learn. I had to teach myself how to learn. Eventually I got a master's degree from Gonzaga in Spokane.
Wow.
In counseling psychology, and then was admitted to BYU. That's what brought us to Utah for a master's equivalency in marriage and family therapy, and then a PhD in marriage and family therapy, which is also systems theory. And that enabled me to do counseling for individuals and families for 15 years.
Wow, okay, now I'm going to kind of dial back a little bit. Dyslexia. Mm-hmm. For those that don't know what it is there a way to kind of wrap it up into a little bow as to describe what the heck dyslexia is?
Well, thanks to my friend Sydney Gardner, I now understand it a little better, and it wasn't until I was over 40. It's actually 3D thinking. It's the mind's ability to move things around. It gives me a tremendous creative ability in mechanical things. I've designed and invented a few things because of this. So I didn't know it was a gift. But when I was a kid, with the backdrop of my emotional noise and then my learning challenges, I thought I was dumb. So in a nutshell, what's dyslexia? Well, your mind moves stuff around sometimes. You'll change letters and numbers in their order. And as a result, reading wasn't the best way for me to learn, so I had to get to know my professors. I had to learn who they were and have them know who I was, and if they had office hours, I was there. And I was talking to them and hearing their stories and their wisdom. And I graduated from Gonzaga with very good grades.
Translation, you're a really good listener.
Evidently.
Well, it's interesting because I have kind of a pet project that I deal with, and that's with people on the autism spectrum. And for people that don't know, autism has been kind of described in that same way, where they see things in a slightly different way, and with hyper focus. And I have family members that I know and love that have autism. You've actually worked on some autism projects. Tell me a little bit about that.
So, as a counselor, absolutely loved what I did. And there is this reality that you can only influence one person an hour, so to speak. And that's very valuable time, and I don't mean to diminish that in any way. I did have a vision for doing something that would enable a reach to a larger group, to influence more lives. A friend of mine and I got together, and we ended up talking one night till about 2:30 in the morning, and this idea was kind of born to address this problem. And the problem was this: we saw parents who felt like they were failing with children on the spectrum. And it was heartbreaking, because honestly, as a group, you probably won't find parents that try harder. And yet there was something missing, and we determined that thing might just be a lack of information, a lack of knowing how, of knowing what to do. And so we set out to get that information, capture it, and make it available to parents so that they could have better relationships with their loved ones.
Oh, wow. So how do people get a hold of that information?
GemTrain on YouTube, GEMTRAIN.
What's behind the name? What's the story there?
Gems of wisdom.
Okay.
Gem like a diamond,
Gotcha.
train like personal trainer.
Okay, there you go. If you had to pick 2 or 3 of your favorite stories and things that you've done on GemTrain, what would they be?
That's a hard question.
Yeah, I know, I'm sorry.
we have about 31 videos that are on YouTube.
What I'm really interested in is stress redirection.
I specialize in teaching yoga for students who have special needs.
I help you know what to do if your child with autism is spending too much time on tech.
Children on the spectrum are at higher risk for abuse and trauma.
One of the things about autism that makes it difficult, it is an invisible disability.
There's a lot of things under your own roof that potentially are creating additional toxicity that could be stressing your body and your child's body.
After I got back from Afghanistan, I learned that you've got to do maintenance on your mind, like daily.
I feel like my experience over the last 10 years of being a parent of a child on the spectrum could be helpful to you.
And honestly, Doug, every one of those people is just near and dear to my heart. They all gave their time. They were generous. They did it because they care and they were interested in the cause. So it's so hard. I can tell you that what our audience has said is, in particular, a couple named Damien and Kelly.
And I'm Kelly Rodriguez.
And the title of that course is Married with Autism. He's on the spectrum, very open about it.
Proving love it's a very challenging thing for people on the autism spectrum, because we don't really understand.
And hats off to them. They are such a delightful couple. She's fun, he's awesome, and they talk about in their course the challenges that they have faced, and not only the challenges, but what they've done to overcome them.
He's sweeping me off my
For example, she needs to be told that she's loved. And his feeling to some degree is, well, I told you once, why do I have to keep telling you?
Yeah, social skills are not exactly on the top of the people on the spectrum.
That's right. So they talk about that. And he's actually set some things in his calendar to remind him to reach out and say, I'm thinking about you, I love you. And she has been an absolute champ, because she says, I've had to adapt my perception. It's not a fairy tale. This is me knowing that he loves me because he's willing to do the things that I've said I need. It's really cool.
Well, the other thing I look at is knowledge is power. I mean, a lot of the time, I think it's just a matter of what am I dealing with and how do I cope? Now, you've done a lot of marriage and family counseling. And I'm going to put you on the spot here. You've talked to probably hundreds, if not thousands of people. If you had to pick like the top 3 tips for people out there that are watching right now that are married to help them improve their marriage, what would the 3 tips be?
Well, first and foremost, make sure you understand what somebody actually means. Not what they said, but what they mean. And the best way to do that is by restating what you thought you heard. So many times I've met with couples who have been married for 20 years and had hard feelings and hurt feelings for most of that time. And if you really get down into it, it was based on some sort of a misunderstanding. So that's the first thing I would say. The second thing is just pay attention to your own problems first. Now, as an individual, as a human being, it's really hard. It's hard for me to do that. It's our nature to want to blame and say it's your fault. You know, you're the reason my life isn't perfect. My wife has been an absolute gem in this regard. She's a sweetheart and much better than me at this. And so I don't feel criticized very often by her, for example, but I notice her just quietly working on what she can do to make our relationship better. And that's been awesome to see.
So she's the gem and you're the trainer.
Yeah.
Gem trainer, huh? Okay. So what would be the third thing?
The third thing is just forgiveness. You know, I'm not a perfect man. I think most of us, if we're honest, can relate to the feeling of making mistakes. And I've sure made my fair share.
Mr. Mark Mauzy, how do you want to leave your mark?
I think I'd like to answer that on a personal level. Because of my history with addiction, I have experienced healing. And the marks that matter to me are the marks that are in the Savior's hands and feet inside. I've experienced grace and mercy.
Well, thank you very much for coming on to Jessop's Journal. With me today is Dr. Micah Christensen with Anthony's Fine Art.
We think of Cecil B. DeMille as the director of the Ten Commandments, which may be the greatest biblical epic that was ever done in Hollywood history. The film that he did just before that was Samson and Delilah, which was a tremendous hit in its own right. He prays that his strength will come back.
I pray thee, strengthen me, O God. Strengthen me only this once.
And with that strength, he pushes down the pillars, ending his enemies and himself. It's a high moment in drama.
The man has the strength of a devil. No, the strength of a god.
When Norman Rockwell made a work, he didn't often save the preparatory drawings, and sometimes he gave them away as gifts. And in this case, he gave this full-size, monumental drawing to the actor Victor Mature, who posed for the work. He sent it in a mail tube from his studio in Vermont to Victor Mature in Hollywood. And the reason we know this is because just a few years ago, it was found after the passing of Victor Mature in his attic, still in the mail tube, unopened. When we opened it, we knew that it was fragile. Norman Rockwell, when he was doing his large works, like many artists of his generation, did their final preparatory drawings, especially in monumental scale, on butcher paper. So when you look at this piece, it's about 2/3 one sheet of paper, and then from here over you see a little bit of a line that's another piece that has been cut, and there's a little that's been added on the bottom, which means that when we took it out of the tube, it was taped together on the back with that old cellulose tape that just crumbles after a decade or so. We took it to a conservator so that it wouldn't smudge because it's got charcoal, which is very prone to that. Had it placed on linen and then placed behind a protective light filtering acrylic that keeps it from fading. So it's very fragile, or it was, and now it's very stable.
Earlier in the show, I featured Dorothy Bale from an interview we did a while back. As promised, here is the visit that I had with her at her 99th birthday party.
I have one of my favorite people. Okay, now, technically, she's my third favorite Dorothy. Sorry, because I've got a granddaughter named Dorothy. Okay, I've got a mother-in-law named Dorothy, but she's my third favorite Dorothy. Dorothy Bale. Okay, now, Dorothy, I have to admit, when I first met you, you know how I remembered your name? besides the fact that there's Dorothy Gale and Dorothy Bale. And so Dorothy Gale, was the character Wizard of Oz. And so it was my favorite movie. So it's like, hey, I got to talk to this lady. So what's happened since we last chatted? Do you remember our last conversation back at Arby's?
At Arby's, that was just before I had to leave.
Yeah.
Because my knees were giving out and I had to leave Arby's after 26 years.
Wow. Now, here's the thing you may not know. This woman right here, she actually retired as the oldest Arby's employee in the entire country. And did you know that once we did that story, that was picked up by TV stations and websites all across, not just the country, all across the world. So now a couple quick questions for you. So is the Reuben still your favorite?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Always.
Okay. What is your favorite soft drink at Arby's?
Well, a Coke.
Coke. Okay. Now they've got the curly fries, but now they have the regular, I don't know what you call them. So do you like the curly fries or the new ones?
The new ones.
The new ones?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
They are the best.
Okay. So now you have a birthday. Like, it's birthday day. Okay. So, you're not supposed to ask a woman how old she is, but a woman could possibly volunteer.
We could. How about 99 years old?
Awesome. Good job. So, now, you gave me some interesting advice way back then. So I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked back then. Okay. You have lived on this earth for 99 years. What is your secret to longevity?
Being active all of your life, working and doing things that you enjoy doing. I was in high school when World War II broke out.
Right. In Colorado, right?
In Colorado, yes. And then in Ogden, Utah, they were asking for people to come there to make bombs.
Wow.
Well, one of my friends and I, we decided we would go on the train and go to Ogden, Utah. Well, her mother wouldn't let her go.
Okay.
So I went. I got on the train in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. I went to Salt Lake and changed trains, and I went to Ogden. Well, when I got there, I had my typing and shorthand, and I didn't go make bombs. They put me in an office.
See, for a second there, I thought you were going to say you were Rosie the Riveter. Yeah, but Dorothy the typist.
Dorothy the typist. Yeah. And that's what I did all through the life until my husband died, and after 36 years in the office, and then he was gone for a year, and that's when I went to work for Arby's.
Mm-hmm.
And they took me to a big convention in Las Vegas. I was the oldest in the whole company, and I really enjoyed every minute of it.
Now, of course, everybody knows I'm the TV hat man, okay?
Yes.
I got to wear this funky-looking hat. It was the original one. She got one, too, So I'm just saying, when we did our story, we both had, I have to admit, I'm going, I gotta meet this fellow hat-wearing lady. So.
Oh, he has wonderful hats.
Now, the other thing that you noticed, because I'm doing TV garden guy stuff, and you told me back then that you love your garden.
Yes, I did love my garden, and you brought me some gardening tools.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
So what's your favorite flowers?
Oh,
I know it depends, but...
Oh, geraniums. I always loved the geraniums.
Okay.
And we had a corner lawn, and I would go out there and work in the yard, and I loved it.
You told me now, granted, this was a while back. And we reran this, and I says, and I've told my kids and my grandkids the same thing that Dorothy Bale said. She says, I don't worry about yesterday. I don't worry about tomorrow. I just live for today.
Today. That's right.
Live for today.
Oh, that's what we do. We can't do one thing about yesterday or tomorrow. Just every minute during the day.
With another entry into Jessop's Journeys, people, places, and things you might not know about, with 99-year-old Dorothy Bale, my third favorite Dorothy.
I want to thank all the underwriters that have made this show possible for all these years. But I do have room for more, just saying. If you'd like me to feature your company, go to broadcastingfrom.com. Summertime is more than a season. It's the name of this next song, originally written by George Gershwin and performed by Billie Holiday way back in 1936.
Summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the catching is high. Oh, your daddy's rich and your mind's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings you're gonna rise up singing. Then you'll spread your wings and you'll fly to the sky. But till the morning, there's nothing can harm you. With Daddy and Mammy standing by.
What makes you smile? Spry xylitol toothpaste makes me smile. I think it might help you too. Thanks for watching this episode of Jessop's Journal, where we share powerful, positive, and inspirational stories and music every week on TV, as well as worldwide at jessopsjournal.com. Here's the thing I want everyone to remember. Go ahead. You know what I'm going to say. You can say it with me. Everyone has a story. Stories have power. They help us understand each other. With another entry into Jessop's Journal, I'm Doug Jessop.
Summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the catching is high.